In the small, cozy town of Pineville, the peaceful routine of the residents reflected the charm of a simple, quiet life. The houses were warm and inviting, the streets lined with trees, and everyone seemed to know each other. At the heart of this town lived the Parker family in a modest home. Sarah and John Parker, a couple who had always dreamed of raising their children in a safe and joyful place, had chosen Pineville as the perfect home for their little family. They had 2 children, 8-year-old Emily, a free-spirited girl with a big heart, and 5-year-old Lucas, who followed in his sister's footsteps, always curious and full of energy. The Parkers' lives revolved around the love and closeness they shared, and this atmosphere extended to every corner of the house. Amidst laughter and play, there was a small creature that completed the happiness of the home, a golden-furred hamster named Oliver. Oliver had been Emily's birthday gift the previous year, and since then, the little rodent had become the center of attention, especially for the girl. To Emily, Oliver was more than just a pet. He was a friend, a confidant, someone she could share her secrets and fears with. She spent hours caring for him, making sure his cage was always clean and full of food. However, despite all the affection he received, Oliver had an adventurous spirit that even Emily couldn't contain. Oliver's cage was positioned by the window in Emily's room, allowing the little hamster to observe the world outside. The window offered a panoramic view of the family's garden, where colorful flowers danced in the breeze and birds built their nests in the trees. At night, the sound of crickets lulled Emily and Lucas to sleep, and it was in those quiet moments that Oliver, with wide eyes, dreamed of something beyond the bars of his cage. He imagined what lay beyond the walls of that room, beyond the garden and the streets of Pineville. To Oliver, freedom had a sweet, unexplored taste. One night, while Emily and Lucas were fast asleep, Oliver decided it was time to turn his dreams into reality. In a quick motion, he gnawed at the small latch of his cage, which had weakened with time, and pushed the door open with his tiny paw. The hamster's little heart raced, but he didn't hesitate. This was his chance to discover the world. With an agile jump, Oliver escaped the cage and slipped through the slightly open window, finding himself on unknown ground for the first time. The night breeze carried the scent of flowers and the soft sounds of the night, but it also brought the promise of an adventure he had never imagined. Little Oliver, who until then had known only the comfort of his cage, was about to embark on a journey that would change not only his life but also the lives of everyone around him. And so, under the twinkling stars, little Oliver began his long journey, driven by a force he didn't fully understand but that led him far from the only home he had ever known. Oliver's fate was sealed, and every step he took brought him closer to an encounter that would warm the hearts of all who would hear his story. Dawn broke in Pineville, and the Parker household filled with the usual sounds of a busy morning. Sarah was preparing breakfast while John read the news, and the children, still sleepy, came down the stairs to start another day. As always, Emily was the first to enter her room, and as she approached the window to greet her little friend, she noticed something that made her heart skip a beat. The cage was open, and Oliver was nowhere to be found. Emily's scream echoed through the house, drawing everyone's attention. "Mom, Dad, Oliver is gone." The girl was panicking, and tears began to roll down her cheeks as she frantically looked around, hoping to find some sign of the hamster. Sarah and John rushed to the room, trying to calm their daughter, but they knew the situation was delicate. A hamster so small, lost outside, had little chance of being found, especially in a place as vast as the world beyond Emily's bedroom walls. As the family banded together to search for Oliver inside the house and in the garden, the little rodent was already far away, moving through terrain he had never seen before. The morning breeze carried the scent of wet earth, and the sun began to warm the stones along the path. But Oliver followed his instincts, driven by an uncontrollable curiosity and a need to explore the unknown. Every new sound, every new texture under his tiny paws, were discoveries that filled him with a sense of freedom he had never experienced before. But Oliver's journey was far from easy. He didn't know it yet, but he was about to face challenges that would test his courage and willpower. As he crossed a little-used road, a car passed too close, causing the small hamster to jump in fright. His heart raced, and he realized that the world outside was vast but also full of dangers. Nevertheless, he didn't turn back. Something inside him pushed him forward, as if he were destined to reach somewhere, to fulfill a purpose he didn't yet understand. Meanwhile, back home, Emily refused to give up. She had made posters with Oliver's picture, and with the help of her little brother Lucas, went around the neighborhood distributing them, asking everyone she met to keep an eye out. "He's small, golden, and very special to me," she explained, her eyes filled with hope and sadness at the same time. With each passing hour, the Parkers' worry grew, but Emily kept hope alive, convinced that somehow she would find her beloved hamster. Oliver, on the other hand, was getting farther and farther away. Venturing into an area with dense trees and tall vegetation, he began to feel the hunger and fatigue building up. The shadows of the trees protected him from the harsh sun, but also made him feel small and vulnerable. For a hamster who had always had food and safety guaranteed, life in the wild was a huge challenge. He was forced to search for food, hiding from birds and other predators that now seemed more threatening than ever. It was in this setting that Oliver found a stream. The sound of water gently flowing over the stones attracted him, and he approached, drinking the cool water that quenched his thirst and refreshed his tired body. There, by the stream, Oliver finally stopped to rest. He looked at his reflection in the water and, for the first time, felt a pang of homesickness for his warm home, for Emily's room, and for the care she gave him every day. But now, he was too far away, and the idea of returning seemed impossible. Still, Oliver knew he couldn't stop. Something inside him, a force he couldn't explain, urged him to continue. As the little hamster rested, something unexpected began to happen. On the other side of the stream, a figure moved among the bushes, watching Oliver with keen eyes. It was a dog, an old, tired German shepherd who had also been wandering alone for days. The meeting between Oliver and the dog would be the turning point of this journey, but at that moment, neither of them knew just how intertwined their lives were about to become in a surprising and heartwarming way. Oliver sensed a presence, a kind of instinct that alerted the little hamster to the watchful gaze observing him from the other side of the stream. His tiny, bright eyes turned toward the figure slowly approaching. The dog, an old German shepherd with dark fur and weary eyes, watched Oliver with a gentle curiosity, without any intent to harm. His steps were careful, as if he knew that any sudden movement might scare the small rodent. Oliver's heart raced, but he didn't flee. There was something in the dog's eyes that somehow conveyed a sense of safety, something he hadn't felt since leaving Emily's room. The German shepherd drew closer cautiously, keeping a respectful distance, and lay down beside the stream, observing Oliver closely. The small hamster, still hesitant, couldn't have imagined that this encounter would change the course of his journey so profoundly. Rex, as the German shepherd was called, had been abandoned months ago. His owners had moved away, leaving him behind at the mercy of fate. Since then, Rex had wandered aimlessly, searching for something that could give meaning to his lonely existence. His days were marked by hunger and exhaustion, but above all, by the emptiness that filled his heart. However, when he found Oliver by that stream, something inside Rex awoke, a memory of better times when he too had a family and was loved. The dog remained by the stream, not knowing what had led him to that place, but feeling that there was something special about the little golden creature. Oliver, in turn, began to relax in Rex's presence, realizing that the dog posed no threat. On the contrary, Rex seemed to be a sort of guardian, a protective presence that would now accompany him on his journey. And so, the unlikely pair was formed, a hamster seeking freedom and a dog seeking purpose. In the days that followed, Oliver continued his journey, but now he was no longer alone. Rex stayed close by, always vigilant, guiding him through safe paths and keeping any danger at bay. The bond between the two grew with each step, and together they began to cover greater distances, crossing fields and forests, always heading toward the unknown. Meanwhile, in Pineville, the search for Oliver intensified. Emily couldn't accept the idea that she might never see her beloved hamster again, and her desperation began to affect the entire family. The Parkers started going out every night to search for Oliver, combing every corner of the town and beyond, asking everyone if they had seen a golden hamster. But the answers were always the same. There was no sign of Oliver anywhere. Days passed, and the hope of finding Oliver began to fade. Emily, however, refused to give up. Every day, she woke up early, packed her backpack with some treats for Oliver, and wandered through the streets, calling out his name. "Oliver, where are you, little buddy?" She repeated these words endlessly, hoping that somehow he might hear her voice and find his way home. Back in the forest, Oliver and Rex's journey took an unexpected turn. As they crossed a clearing, they came upon an abandoned farm, its fences broken down and the overgrown weeds covering what was once a fertile field. The place had a sad and desolate atmosphere, but something there caught Oliver's attention. He began running toward the old wooden house, followed closely by Rex, who kept his watchful eyes on any potential danger. When they entered the house, they found it had been empty for a long time. The windows were broken, and the wind whistled through the cracks in the walls, creating a melancholy sound. But Oliver didn't seem to care about the decay around him. Something inside that house drew him in a way he couldn't explain. He made his way to a corner of one of the rooms, where an old wooden box was partially covered in cobwebs. Oliver started gnawing at one of the box's edges, determined to open whatever was inside. Rex, for his part, watched curiously, not understanding what attracted the little hamster so much. After a few minutes of effort, Oliver finally managed to open a crack in the box, revealing its contents. Inside was a small, worn red blanket and an old photograph of a smiling family. Rex approached, and upon seeing the photo, his eyes filled with emotion. He recognized those people. It was his former family, the one that had abandoned him. Rex's heart tightened as he recalled the happy moments he had spent with them. The sense of loss and abandonment he had felt for months resurfaced, and the usually strong and resilient dog let out a small howl of sadness. Oliver, sensing his new friend's pain, nestled beside Rex, trying to comfort him. That small gesture of kindness and solidarity brought a new warmth to the German shepherd's heart. For the first time in a long while, Rex felt that he was no longer alone, that there was still someone beside him who cared. Fate had united two lonely beings on an unlikely but deeply meaningful journey. And as Rex looked at the photo of the family that had once been his, he realized that his true family was now right there beside him, in the form of a brave and compassionate little hamster. The days that followed marked a profound change in the relationship between Oliver and Rex. What had initially been a matter of companionship and survival had now blossomed into something deeper. A bond of friendship and loyalty had formed between the two, a connection that transcended their differences and grew stronger with each new challenge they faced together. The abandoned farm, which initially seemed like just another sad, forgotten place, became a temporary refuge for them both. After the discovery of the red blanket and the photograph of his former family, Rex decided that this place, filled with memories, could offer them a bit of peace before they continued on their journey. The old dog found a cozy corner for them in the house, using the blanket to keep Oliver warm during the cold nights. During the day, Rex ventured out in search of food, always returning with something to share with the little hamster. But with each passing day, it became clear that their destiny lay beyond that farm. Though Oliver was comfortable there, he still felt a restlessness, a need to continue exploring, to discover what the world had to offer. Rex, sensing this, decided that when Oliver was ready, he would accompany him on his journey, wherever it might lead. Finally, the day came when Oliver was rested and ready to move on. Rex, ever faithful, knew it was time to leave the refuge and face the unknown once more. With one last look at the photograph he had carefully placed back in the box, Rex wagged his tail as if bidding farewell to old memories, and followed Oliver out of the house, ready for the next stage of their journey. Meanwhile, in Pineville, Emily was on the verge of losing hope. Weeks had passed since Oliver's disappearance, and despite all efforts, there was no sign of the hamster anywhere. The girl, who had once refused to give up, now felt the weight of her beloved pet's absence. She spent hours sitting beside the empty cage, imagining where he might be, whether he was safe, or if he was still alive. Emily's suffering was palpable, and though her parents continued to support her, they knew there was little they could do to ease her pain. Then, on a sunny afternoon, while Emily was in the backyard, gazing at the sky and silently praying for a miracle, something happened. Old Rex and little Oliver had been walking for days, facing the challenges of the road with determination and courage. Rex guided Oliver through the safest routes, always alert to any threats, until, at a certain point, something familiar caught Oliver's attention. It was a smell, a distant sound, something he recognized. His heart began to race, and he started running, ignoring the exhaustion he felt. Rex, puzzled, followed the hamster, trying to understand what was happening. Oliver was running toward the town of Pineville, the place he called home. And then, as if fate had conspired to align everything, Oliver reached the edge of town, recognizing the streets, the trees, the scent that filled the air. He knew where he was. Rex, ever loyal, stayed close, but now he realized they were approaching something important, something Oliver had been searching for. Emily, still in the backyard, felt a soft breeze brush her face, and for a moment, she had the sensation that something was about to happen. And then, on the horizon, she saw a small golden figure running toward her. Her eyes widened in surprise, and without a second thought, she ran to the gate, opening it with all the strength she had. "Oliver!" she cried, her voice trembling with emotion. The little hamster, hearing her voice, sped up, running as fast as his tiny legs could carry him. Behind him, Rex kept a steady pace, ensuring they reached safety. When they finally arrived in the yard, Oliver leaped into Emily's arms, and she held him with all the care in the world, her tears soaking the hamster's golden fur. Rex watched the scene with a sense of fulfillment. He knew he had fulfilled his purpose, that he had helped his little friend find his way home. And as Emily hugged Oliver, she finally noticed the dog standing a few feet away, watching them with loving eyes. "Who are you, big guy?" she asked, her smile still wet with tears. Rex wagged his tail shyly, as if asking for permission to approach. Emily, sensing the dog's gentleness, extended her hand toward him. "Come here," she said softly. Rex took a few steps toward her until he felt the warmth of her hand stroking his head. In that moment, the old German shepherd felt something he hadn't felt in a long time, the warmth of a home. The Parkers, seeing the emotional reunion, decided to adopt Rex. They knew that this dog wasn't there by chance, that he had become part of Oliver's journey, and that now he was part of the family too. Emily promised herself that she would never let Oliver out of her sight again, but she also knew that without Rex, he might never have made it back home. Rex and Oliver, two unlikely friends, now had a home where they would be loved and cared for forever. The days that followed brought a new routine to the Parker household. Now, in addition to Emily, Lucas, and their parents, Rex was part of the family, seamlessly integrating into their lives with love and affection. The old German shepherd, who had once wandered aimlessly in search of a purpose, had now found a home where he was valued and cherished. Oliver, for his part, returned to his peaceful life in the cage by the window, but something had changed within him. The adventure had transformed him, and the little hamster now seemed more content and fulfilled, as if the journey had filled a void he hadn't known existed. Every day, when Emily returned from school, she would rush to see Oliver and Rex. She divided her time between caring for the small hamster and playing with the big dog, who now guarded the house with unwavering loyalty. Rex had become the Parker family's protector, always vigilant but also full of tenderness, especially when he was with the children. He and Oliver, despite being of such different species, maintained the connection that had united them on their journey. Sometimes, as the sun set, Rex would lie down beside Oliver's cage, as if reminiscing about the days of adventure and freedom they had shared. But it wasn't just Emily and Rex who had changed. The town of Pineville itself, small and peaceful, had been touched by the story of Oliver and Rex. The news of the hamster's return and the heroic dog spread quickly, and soon the entire community knew the tale. People, moved by the story, gathered to celebrate the reunion, and the Parkers were overwhelmed by the outpouring of love. Friends and neighbors came to visit, bringing gifts for Rex and Oliver, and everyone wanted to hear, once more, how the little hamster had escaped, braved the unknown, and, with the help of a lonely dog, found his way back home. The story of Oliver and Rex became a local legend, something people told one another to inspire hope and love. And so, the small town, once just a place of tranquility, became filled with new meaning. Pineville was now a symbol of faith, resilience, and living proof that friendship can arise in the most unexpected moments between the most unlikely beings. Oliver, Rex, and the Parker family continued to live their lives in harmony, surrounded by the love they had built together. For Emily, the experience of losing and finding Oliver taught her valuable lessons about perseverance and the importance of never giving up on those we love. She grew up knowing that even in the most difficult times, there is always a chance to find happiness again, and that sometimes, fate brings friends into our lives whom we never expected to meet, but who end up becoming essential to our journey. Rex, now with a new life, felt at peace. His past of abandonment and loneliness was behind him, replaced by the warmth of a family that accepted and loved him unconditionally. He knew that, along with Oliver, he had found not just a home, but also a purpose: to protect and care for those who had taken him in. And so, as the sun set over Pineville, the silhouette of Rex lying beside Oliver's cage was the perfect image of a true and lasting friendship. A friendship that began unexpectedly, but in the end, transformed the lives of everyone around them. The journey of Oliver, the small hamster with an adventurous heart, and Rex, the loyal dog who accompanied him, would be remembered forever as a testament to the fact that no matter who we are or where we come from, love and friendship can guide us back home.